I have been sitting here thinking about this team, and honestly, the news that Maliek Collins has been placed on the physically unable to perform list by the Cleveland Browns caught me off guard. While he battles back from his knee injury, this update creates a massive window of opportunity for second-round pick Mike Hall Jr. to prove he belongs on this defensive line. There are two angles worth breaking down here: the reality of the current roster move and what this development means for the future of our defensive rotation. This situation is evolving quickly, so let's dive in. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you are watching from today. Let's get to work. The Cleveland Browns have hit a snag as we approach training camp, placing defensive tackle Maliek Collins on the physically unable to perform list. Collins, who arrived in Cleveland and immediately became an anchor beside Myles Garrett with 15 tackles and 6.5 sacks before his season ended in Week 13, due to a knee injury, is currently working on the side to be ready for the opener against Jacksonville. This development is tough for us to digest, especially with the departure of Myles Garrett to the Rams, leaving a massive void on the defensive line. And honestly, this situation creates a significant opening for Mike Hall Jr. to prove his worth. The 54th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft from Ohio State has dealt with frustrating injury luck, including an MCL tear, but he now enters his third training camp fully healthy. We need the 23-year-old to step up and show he is more than just a depth piece within the defensive rotation favored by coach Mike Rutenberg. Many of us are anxious because our defensive success relies heavily on that front line maintaining pressure. And seeing a key veteran sidelined while a younger player faces his biggest test is a nerve-wracking start to the season. Hall has tallied 25 career tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 10 quarterback hits. But we need those numbers to climb substantially for this unit to remain competitive. With the defensive starting jobs mostly solidified, the pressure is squarely on Hall to seize this rare opportunity during the preseason. But this leaves us wondering, if Hall shines while Collins remains sidelined, how will the coaching staff handle the rotation once everyone is healthy? And can we actually afford to trust such a critical position to a player still seeking his first breakout performance under a new coordinator? The most startling reality for us this year is that Mike Hall Jr. effectively owns the keys to our defensive interior during the opening weeks of camp. This sudden promotion stems from Maliek Collins landing on the physically unable to perform list, a move forced by the lingering effects of a severe knee injury suffered back in Week 13. While we remember the stability Collins provided with his 6.5 sacks and 15 tackles before his campaign ended, the organization simply cannot wait for him to be fully ready for the September kickoff against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hall, a second-round draft pick at 54th overall, has navigated a difficult start to his career, including a major MCL tear during his rookie season that sidelined him through the beginning of his sophomore year. We have seen young players struggle to regain their footing after such setbacks. Yet Hall arrives at this third training camp with a clean bill of health despite an early scare during OTAs. And this is the part that gets me. The coaching staff is under immense pressure to maintain the integrity of our defensive rotation, and they clearly see the 23-year-old as the primary solution. Internally, General Manager Andrew Berry and the leadership team are likely viewing these practice reps as the ultimate litmus test to determine if Hall can transition from a rotational depth piece into a foundational anchor. If he demonstrates the ability to generate pressure without relying on the familiar faces of years past, he will secure a permanent role within this defensive scheme. With 25 career tackles and 10 quarterback hits already on his resume, the potential for a breakout is tangible. We are witnessing a pivotal moment where a young man has the chance to prove he belongs among the league elite, solidifying our defensive front for the long haul. Moving past the breaking news of the physically unable to perform list, here is what people are missing regarding the tactical implications for our squad. This situation matters right now because the integrity of our defensive interior is the foundation of head coach Todd Monken's defensive strategy. With Maliek Collins sidelined during this critical window of training camp, the depth chart experiences an immediate shift that forces our younger talent into the spotlight. Mike Hall Jr., our 54th overall pick from the 2024 NFL Draft, now possesses a massive opening to prove he is more than just a depth piece. This is the moment for Hall to showcase his development as he works with a new defensive coordinator, to implement a scheme centered on fresh legs and consistent rotation. If Hall can demonstrate his ability to generate interior pressure during these early practices, the staff will be far more confident utilizing him against high-octane opponents like the Jacksonville Jaguars in our Week 1 opener. Maintaining our defensive dominance is essential when we look at our standing against division rivals, as those matchups often hinge on winning the battle in the trenches. While the Los Angeles Rams have added Jared Verse to their rotation, we must ensure our own front remains elite to keep our playoff ambitions alive through the long grind of the winter months. With 25 career tackles and 2.5 sacks to his name, Hall has a small sample size, yet the potential for those splash plays is exactly what we need to elevate our team performance. Although our defensive starters are largely locked in, this rare opportunity for a third-year player could be the difference between a good season and a great one. We are watching closely to see if he can secure his role as a foundational contributor for the Cleveland Browns throughout this upcoming campaign. The decision to place Maliek Collins on the physically unable to perform list creates a pivotal moment for Mike Hall Jr. during this training camp. The strongest argument for this situation is that it provides a young, high-upside player the necessary repetitions to prove he belongs as a cornerstone of our defensive front. By stepping into those first-team snaps, Hall can gain vital chemistry with the unit and demonstrate his growth following an injury-plagued start to his career. Think about it this way. If he capitalizes on these reps while Collins heals, the coaching staff gains much-needed depth and tactical flexibility for the long season ahead. Conversely, the downside is the clear lack of experience at such a critical position. Relying on a player who has only seen 17 games of action leaves us vulnerable if the transition to a larger role proves too taxing too early. Industry analysts are watching this situation closely, noting that while the team is looking for immediate production, there is also chatter regarding the potential contributions of players like Alex Wright. Experts believe the coaching staff will likely lean on a rotation to mitigate risk, but the pressure remains on Hall to show he is a primary contributor rather than just a depth piece. Here is where I land on this. While the hype surrounding Hall is understandable, I'm not fully sold that we should expect a breakout season immediately. He has talent, but calling him an anchor right now feels premature given the small sample size of 25 tackles and 2.5 sacks. I believe we need to manage our expectations and see him play through the intensity of padded practices before we decide he is the permanent answer for our defensive line, as consistency is ultimately the hallmark of a truly great defender in the NFL. When we combine the current roster update regarding Maliek Collins with the rising trajectory of Mike Hall Jr., a clear image of our long-term defensive philosophy begins to take shape. The truth is, this front office is prioritizing depth and sustainable growth, ensuring that the departure of key veterans does not leave us vulnerable in the trenches. Looking ahead to the next few seasons, the franchise is clearly leaning into a younger, more versatile core that can execute this complex defensive scheme regardless of who is sidelined. We should feel genuinely optimistic about this approach because it shows that Jimmy Haslam and the front office have built a system that relies on collective talent rather than just one or two stars. Developing young players like Hall, who brings a strong pedigree from Ohio State, proves that we are committed to building for the future without sacrificing our competitive edge this season. Seeing Hall step into this elevated role during training camp is exactly what we need to remain a formidable opponent on Sundays. While Collins works his way back from that knee injury to potentially face the Jacksonville Jaguars, the rotation must remain disciplined and effective. This is a rare chance for a third-year player to cement his status as a foundational piece, shifting the narrative from him being a depth piece to a true playmaker in our rotation. Does the recent move to place Maliek Collins on the physically unable to perform list make you confident that Mike Hall Jr. can successfully anchor the defensive line in his absence? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Dog pound! I'll see you in the next one.